through some attacks to use on our opponent who's in turtle. Can I get you down to turtle? Okay, I'm going to go on this side just because of my dodgy knee. It makes it a little bit easier for you tonight, but I don't have to be here obviously. Okay, first one we're going to go through is an old school choke called a clock choke. Okay, really strong move. You don't see it as much anymore because the defense for the choke is not that complicated. Okay, and I'll touch on it briefly. We won't go through the defenses because there are various defenses, ones where you can counter them, and depending on the way I do the clock choke can change the defense, which can open up different attacks and all sorts of stuff as per usual with Jiu Jitsu. I'll go through just a standard one and I'll touch on just very basic defense, more from a principles perspective as opposed to an individual technique, because then that'll tie into our follow-on techniques that we'll do after that. So we find ourselves here in our turtle position. I'm kind of on the side again, just sort of driving into the hips, keeping my base. As per normal, we don't want to have this far side arm really deep around their waist, because as we just did a moment ago, we've got all our rollovers and things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my weight down here. I'm going to go in just enough that I can get a little bit of leverage on that collar. I'm just posture up for a second. I don't even need to grab the collar. I can kind of move. You guys can see this is moving without actually going all the way through. Okay, so a mistake we often see when people go for this is they reach not quite that deep where you put your fingers in their mouth, but you reach deep and then that arm gets caught. So if Milton's back in turtle, I don't need to go all the way up here. That exposes my arm to those rollovers. All I really need to do is get deep enough that I can get some leverage on that open side collar. My other hand, as I'm snapping that down, is going to be coming through underneath the jaw, and it's my thumb that goes into the collar. So just my thumb inside here. Okay, and what I want to do is I kind of want to catch my thumb with the gi. So I snap the gi into my thumb, like that. All right, so I've got my position here. I'm going to reach. We're just going to go the nice way, just going straight through. Now, if their chin's buried, there's a mean way. Okay, and we can look at that in a second if you'd like. But just for your own sake, if you're the turtle tonight, don't resist by burying your chin, because that's going to prompt them to do the mean way, which is nowhere near as fun for you. Okay, so if you just let them get their hand through for now, we snap the collar and we get nice and deep on that collar grip there. Now I'm going to take my hand out again, so I'm not exposing myself to rollovers, and I'm going to grab right on the outside of his knee. When we kneel in our gi, what you'll often find is the joint line creates this little fluffy patch of fabric, which gives us a nice easy handle, as opposed to somewhere like our quads or the middle of the back here. It's quite hard to grab like that. It's quite tricky, but usually where we have a joint, we get little bits of fabric bunch up. So when he's in this turtle position here, I can usually grab the outside of that knee pretty easily. Whereas I couldn't grab his thigh here. You can see how tight the pants are here in typical Milton fashion. I can't really grab anything here. But this gives me a nice little handle. Okay, the reason I do this is mainly so that I have less counters that I have to worry about from him. Okay, it's not so much that this is the best grip in terms of being the strongest technique. It is strong, but it's mainly because I don't get countered. Okay, so again, I'm in my position here, snap the gi as I feed through, taking the slack out, and I get my grip. Straight away I go to that outside knee. Now I'm going to go over two different finishes. One, we're going to sit the side of our ribs on his upper back and neck. The other, I'm going to sort of sprawl over his head. So again, the traditional sort of way of doing it is we hold here, we walk forward, and we drop onto our butt. Okay, and now I'm going to walk my legs around like the hands on a clock, hence the name clock choke. Okay, so I'm in this position here, I start to pull up on the choke as I walk. And hopefully you feel them tapping, sorry mate, and they don't go out. And hit the tap. Okay, so that's one method. I'll do it a little bit looser. Down here a little bit more. So I'm sitting and I'm walking like this. The more I walk, the more the choke comes on. Okay, so that's one variation. The other variation from here, in this position here, I don't actually walk at all. Okay, I'm going to plant my forehead on the ground and I'm going to sprawl over the back of his neck, and then I'm just going to rotate my shoulders to put the choke on. So I come in, I come forward like that. Okay? Now from this position here, all I do is start to pull up there. Okay? Like that. So I'm almost like, we talk about starting a lawnmower. Okay, I'm pulling on the ripcord like that. Okay, so I keep my weight here. I want to keep the upper body pinned, and then I'm keeping that, and then I'm just pulling through on that choke from there. Okay, so once more, Milton's in turtle. Get my gi just on the edge where my arm's still out. Snap it into my hand. Get nice and tight. Grab my pants. 1, sprawl. Finish from there. Other variation from here. Come forward. Walk, 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 walk. And finish walking around.
Yes.
Rose. Got to my grip here. This time, I'm going to post right up. So I'm going to come to my feet standing. Okay, and I'm going to swing my leg all the way around his head. So I'm facing the way that I just was at. Okay, so I'm going to do a 180-degree turn. Okay, but I'm not going to face him and stay here. I'm going to face him as I'm falling onto my back. Alright, so get my collar grip. I come to here. I'm going to come up and I'm going to swing around like that. Okay, so my leg goes over his head. It's very hard to do this in slow motion, so I do apologize. Now when I land here, my hand I was saying before on the previous one that rolled either grabbed his knee or under the armpit. This time I'm going under his armpit. Okay, so I'm going to hook under his armpit as I'm falling back here. Okay, when I fall I use my free leg to do a slight hip escape, so it's my shin on the back of his head. I've got his arm trapped here, so again Milton can't roll into the choke that way because I've slowed him down here. My leg is pushing in and I'm pulling to put the choke on here. Okay, so again, alright, I'm going to use something else. Stretch my collar, grab my grip. Come up, swing, roll here. Okay, and I should hopefully land. If I do it properly, my shin should already be behind his head. If it's sort of more like that, that's not going to give me the leverage on his head. So now, even though I'm holding his arm, he can't roll that way. He can roll his back this way and turn that way. So slim heel, that short. Yeah, like that. Yeah, he'll fall into that hole. Okay, so I want to make sure it's my shin behind his head so he can't adjust his shoulder angle. And then he can't roll because he's got that, so both of those pathways are taken out. Next, once more. Here, get my grip. Milton might be defending or whatever on that. Yep, so I come here, over, roll over, land here. Okay, so I'm stretching up into his head, cupping this so he can't roll, and then putting the tension on there. I'll do one more time, a little bit sort of realish. Turtle, snap, post, and there's my finish. 1, 2.